In this video, I'm going to be ranking all of the herbivores in Ark Survival Evolved. Now, I am a PvE player, so this is not going to be for a PvP player's list. This is going to be completely different. And also, there's not going to be like any omnivores or anything. This is strictly herbivores. First, we have one of the more recent creatures, which is going to be the Amargasaurus. Now, I don't really find the use for this that much in PvE. It's more useful in PvP, but it's still pretty fun to use. Then we have the Anki, which is going to be at the A tier. This one is super useful for getting metal. You can also get flint, crystal, obsidian. I mean, you can get pretty much any resource you need with this thing. So this is going to be an obvious A tier. It's one of the most crucial creatures in the game, but they have made better ones since then. Then we have the Bronto, which is going in the A tier as well. This one I feel like is kind of underrated. It's really great for getting berries. It's like a huge harvesting AoE attack that you can use to just get a ton of berries. So that's why I use it mainly. Then we have the giant turtle, which is going in D tier. This thing is not really that useful. It's just a big, slow turtle, and I don't really use it for anything, so this one's going in the D tier. Then we have the giant beaver, which is great at harvesting wood, which is obviously one of the most useful resources in the game. This is also one of the few wood harvesting creatures that can actually give a weight reduction on wood in its inventory, which is extremely useful because you can carry so much more and you don't have to make a million trips back to your base to carry all the wood. Then we have the Calcatherium, which is going at C tier. It's not really that useful. And then it's also at C, we have the Diplodocus. This one's also not that great. It's pretty fast, and I mean, you can go around, but it also doesn't do any damage. It only does knockback, so it's not too useful. Next we have the Dodo, which is a starting tame that tame itself is not useful at all, so we're going to put in the D tier, even though it is a very iconic creature in the game. Then we have the Equus, which is going to go in the B tier, the horse. This one is really useful for traveling around the map in the early game, and that's pretty much its main use, but it is super useful. And then after that we have the Doedicurus. This one is one of the only creatures in the game that can harvest stone, and that's pretty much all it's used for, but it's super useful because stone is one of the most useful resources in the game, and you can get a crap ton of it with this thing. And then we have the Gallimimus, which this one is also not too useful. I mean, it can run really fast, but it's not like an early game tame, so you wouldn't really use it that much. It does have 3 seats in the saddle, but it's not really that useful, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. And then we have the Gas Bags. This is a great starter tame on Extinction because it's got a lot of weight and you can fly around the map with it. There's not too much to say about it other than that. Then there's the Gigantopithecus, which is going to go in the C tier. This one is, I mean, good for killing stuff, but it's not really that useful to tame. Not one I find myself using very much. Then after that we have the Iguanodon, which is a good herbivore starting tame to get berries with, and it can defend itself a bit, so it's kind of useful. And then we have the Jerboa, which is going to go in the B tier, the first shoulder pet on this list, and it's a really good shoulder pet. It can tell you when the weather is going to happen on scorched earth. This is super useful. It can warn me if there's like a sandstorm or something coming, which is good because you don't want to get caught in that. Then we have another scorched earth creature, the Lymantra. This is I believe the only flying herbivore, and it's not that great at all. It sucks. I mean, it can get you around on scorched earth, but you'd be better off just getting like a fast ground mount because this thing has like no stamina. Next we have the Kentro. Now I can't think of a single use for this thing at all, so I'm going to be putting it in the D tier. Next is the Lystrosaur. This one's good. It's a small little pet, but it can give you some XP for your creature, so I'm going to put this one in the C tier. And then we have the Mammoth, which is an A tier creature. This one is good for getting wood, and with the new TLC update they improved it quite a bit and made it look way better. After that we have the Megaloceros. This is the deer, and I'm going to put it in C tier. It's not really that useful. It's good for like travel. You can go pretty fast, but you're not really going to travel around with this thing that much. But it can get thatched though, which is a great use of it. Next is the Morellatops. This is a great starting creature on scorched earth. It can hold water and it can get berries, and it's got a decent amount of weight. After that we have the Patchy. This thing is not useful at all, so it's going to go in the D tier. I mean, it doesn't even really have, I can't really think of anything it can use for other than like knocking stuff out. But you'd probably just get killed. And then we have the Patchy Rhinoceros. This is like the trike thing, and it's not really too useful in PvE. The potion effects or whatever it sends out doesn't really do much for wild creatures. And then we have the Ovis, which the only reason it's good for is killing it to get mutton. But when you tame these things, you can breed them and make more of them and then kill them for their mutton, which you can use to tame very high level carnivores, so that's a good use of it. Then we have the Paracer, which is going to go in the A tier. This one is a good one. You can like build a little base on the back of it, have like a base of operations, and it can gather berries, and it's pretty strong and it can defend itself too, so this one's going in the A tier. And then we have the Parasaur. It's a good starter tame, and you can get around with it getting berries and use it as a travel in the early game, so it's going to go in the B tier. Then we have the Phiomia, which is, the only use for it is getting poop for fertilizer, but it is the only creature that can do that, and it is pretty useful, so that one's going to go in the C tier. Next up is the Pego. Now, nobody likes this, so this is going to go straight in the F tier. Then we have the Procoptodon, which I'm going to put in C tier, which I actually found pretty useful in Genesis Part 1, because it is a really good travel mount, because you can like jump around with it, and it runs really fast, so I'm going to put this one in C tier. And then after that, we have the Roll Rat. The Roll Rat is the only creature on Aberration that can get wood, and that's why it's so useful. So we're going to put it in the A tier. It also rolls around, which makes it go super fast, so you can actually get around pretty quickly with this thing. And then we have the Stego, which was made better by the last TLC update. This one's just a really good harvester for getting like berries and stuff, and it's got a really good defense. Next up is our first S tier. This is the Therizinosaurus. This one's obviously going in S tier. This can pretty much do anything. I mean, it's extremely good on offense. You can kill stuff. You can even use this in boss fights if you want, but its main thing is it can harvest stuff a lot. Like, you can get wood, you can get fiber. I mean, you can harvest like hide and meat, even though it's a herbivore. And it's got all kinds of stuff like chitin too. I mean, this thing pretty much harvests anything, and it can defend itself. So easy S tier. And then we have the Trike, which is going in the A tier. This is probably one of the best starter tames in the game, because you can use it to go get tons of berries, and it can defend itself pretty well too. After that, we have the Woolly Rhino. I don't really use this thing that much. I know it can be used in boss fights, but I've never really done it, and I don't really have much to use for it, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. It's still pretty good overall. And after that, we have the Snail. This one's going in the C tier. I don't really ever use this thing, but you can use it to get cementing paste, which I know some people find pretty useful, so I'm going to put that in the C tier. And then finally, we have all the light pets. I'm just going to group all of these and put them in the B tier. They're pretty much essential for Aberration. But if you're not on Aberration, you don't really need them. They're just pretty cool light pets. So that is all of the herbivores ranked on a tier list. I'm probably going to do the carnivore one too eventually. I don't know if I'm going to do that next. I'm not going to promise that because I don't really know which one I'm going to do next. But that one's going to be a pretty big one. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Thanks for watching, and bye.